Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be doing like a sort of a top 10 list, as it were, of 10 non-Christmas movies that I like to watch at Christmas. So yeah, I just thought I'd delve into some of the movies that from my childhood that I really associate with Christmas time, that just aren't Christmas movies. I don't know if anyone else has that, where they sort of have movies that they like to watch at Christmas that have nothing to do with the season. But yeah, these movies sort of ring true with me the Christmas season, and I like to watch them at Christmas time, even though they are not Christmas movies whatsoever. There are some for me that go without saying. I think like movies like Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, The Great Escape, Sound of Music. They are sort of movies around the time as well I like to watch, but these are ones for me from sort of my childhood that I really associate with the Christmas season, even though they are nothing to do with Christmas whatsoever. So yeah, that being said, gonna get into the first movie I've got, and that is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So yeah, for me, I think this movie was one I had on tape when I was younger, and I had it on a tape with Jingle All the Way, which I used to play to death as a kid. And I also had on that tape the Tom and Jerry movie, the cartoon one from the early 90s. And I used to just run that thing through the machine constantly in December time. And yeah, it's why I like to watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at Christmas, to be honest. I just sort of associate those movies together just because I have them on tape. And yeah, it's just, that's the reason why, to be honest, with this movie. Nothing to do with Christmas, but I just like watching it at December time. Don't know why, just do. It's just there. So yeah, that's my first pick, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Next up is a Disney movie, and this is probably, this takes the crown, no pun intended, as probably one of Disney's best animated movies. It's the second movie I think I ever saw at the cinema, and it is, of course, Disney's The Lion King. It's an animation masterclass, this movie. I think why I associate this one with Christmas is because it's one of my early memories of getting a VHS for Christmas, and again, just playing it to death. I just really, really like watching this movie at Christmas time. I sort of have this tradition of getting a McDonald's and sitting down and watching this movie, because I remember sort of getting the toys as I was a kid in the Happy Meals. And yeah, just really, really enjoy this movie at Christmas time. Just think it's fantastic. And yeah, just an animated classic. These are just sort of the movies that are just heartwarming to me, and I just like putting them on in the winter and just having a good time with them. So yeah, that is The Lion King. Next up is a movie that came out a year later. It's Disney Pixar's first movie, and of course it is Toy Story. And again, similar to The Lion King, I sort of remember getting a Woody doll for Christmas, and I think that's probably why I associate this movie with Christmas. You could argue as well there is a little bit of a Christmas vibe to the movie, particularly at the end, but I know that is definitely clutching at straws, and this is definitely not a Christmas movie. But yeah, it's one I really enjoy. I remember getting the VHS as well, round about the same time, and playing it to death. It's a wonderful movie, it's superb, it's just a classic case of jealousy between these two characters, and it's just a wonderful movie. Absolute wonderful movie, staple from my childhood, and again, one I just like to slap on at Christmas. So yeah, that is Toy Story. Next up, again, another movie, nothing to do with Christmas, but I really, really enjoy this movie, and it does have Christmas connections for me. It was, again, another movie I taped off TV and played to death around about the Christmas season, and that is, of course, Muppet's Treasure Island. Again, yeah, it was broadcast on Christmas. I went to see this at the cinema when it came out, but I never had the VHS of this or the DVD of it growing up. I did tape it off the TV, and that was really the only way I rewatched the movie, as it were. But yeah, have a fantastic memories of this movie growing up. And again, I think it's because it's a Muppet movie, and my introduction to the Muppets was Christmas Carol. So I sort of watched the two movies close together, as it were. Tim Curry as well as Long John Silver. I always associate Tim Curry with my favourite role of his, and that is the concierge in Home Alone 2. So there are Christmas connections there for me, just in terms of the movie's production. But like I say, it's not a Christmas movie, but I do associate it with the season. And again, it's about our laughs. It's a good time, and I really, really enjoy the movie. So yeah, that is Muppet Treasure Island. Next up is, again, another one of these movies that I had on tape, and I had it on tape with my next pick as well. And the movies were just, again, broadcast at Christmas time, and it is the Flintstones. I really enjoy watching this movie at Christmas. Don't know why. It's just one of those childhood memories with this movie that I have. It's not the best movie ever, absolutely not. I think the plot is just really convoluted and quite confusing for kids. It's sort of about this corporate business that want to set up Fred Flintstone. It is what it is. But yeah, I've got to say though, on the positive side of this movie, the sets look amazing in this film. They just sort of had no expense spared with it, and it just looks phenomenal. For me, it literally looks like bedrock has been brought to life from the cartoon. I think John Goodman is perfect casting as Fred Flintstone. It really is. But you could arguably say this has one of the worst castings in it, with Rosie O'Donnell as Betty Rubble. But it never bothered me as a kid. That I just enjoyed it for what it was. So yeah, that is the Flintstones. So yeah, having said the Flintstones, this was another movie that I had on tape, and I think I had it on the same tape as the Flintstones. And I used to watch this constantly at Christmas as a kid. And again, I think it's because it's got Macaulay Culkin in it as well. That I think that's another association with it, with the Home Alone connection there. And it is, of course, the Pagemaster. Really, really fun film, this as a kid. Really, really enjoyed it. I think it's got a fantastic premise to it as well. You could argue that the execution isn't quite there. But yeah, for me, I just enjoy the hell out of this film. I love the voice casting of the books as well. Patrick Stewart as Adventure and Whoopi Goldberg as Fantasy. It's just massive fun, this movie. Anything with Christopher Lloyd in as well. Even like the lesser quality movies, shall we say, like Dennis the Menace and Suburban Commando. Christopher Lloyd for me just had star power, and he had that draw. And Pagemaster was no exception. I really, really enjoyed him in this. And yep, again, it's another movie I like to slap on just before the Christmas season in December and have a great time with it. So yeah, that is the Pagemaster. Next up, my next two picks, I think people might agree with me on this one, that these are definitely movies to watch at the festive season, even though they're not nowhere near Christmas movies. So the first one I've got is Peter Jackson's masterpiece, and that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I think here in the UK, definitely these movies came out the cinema in December, and I think that's the obvious reason as to why I like these movies, is because I just associate them with this time of year. And yeah, just really, really have a blast with them. Really look forward to watching these. Even the Hobbit movies as well. Even though I don't think they're as good as the Lord of the Rings movies, I still like to watch, go back to Middle-earth with those 6 movies and just have a great time with them. So yeah, that's all I can really say about it. It's the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We know it's a fantastic series of movies, and yeah, I just associate it with the December time period and just like to slap them on in the holiday season and just have a great time with them. So yeah, that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So, keeping in the same vein as Lord of the Rings, these are again another series of movies I love to watch at Christmas. I just like to watch all 8 of them. And it is, of course, the Harry Potter movies. Yeah, just have a fantastic time with them. Grew up with these movies. Was sort of like the same age as the main cast when these movies were being made and when they came out. And yeah, just have a really, really good, fun time with them. There are sort of Christmas moments peppered in there as the movies sort of take place over a year. Each one sort of, covers that year of high school, as it were, or senior school. And yeah, I don't know again what it is. Maybe because these movies were broadcast at Christmas, and I think when I was younger, I got a couple of the movies for Christmas, on DVD or what have you. And yeah, I just associate them with that time of year, particularly the first one. Definitely, I remember sort of watching Shrek, Harry Potter, and The Grinch as they sort of came out at the same time, getting those movies for Christmas. So yeah, that's my next pick for non-Christmas movies I like to watch at Christmas, the Harry Potter franchise. So yeah, that brings me to my last pick, and this is a movie that's part of a franchise. And the first movie is been it'll go on being debated. It's a chicken and the egg situation as to whether it's a Christmas movie or not. For me, the first movie is a movie that takes place at Christmas, but Christmas is not the forefront of that movie. It's one of the best action movies ever made. But yeah, this movie that I like to watch at Christmas, that isn't a Christmas movie, is Die Hard with a Vengeance. I always watch Die Hard 1 and 2 on Christmas Eve. That has become a tradition for me. And I enjoy the first movies that much. I have to watch the third one because the third one has buckets of quality to it as well. And again, it's not a Christmas movie, but I always watch it Christmas Eve to try and complete that trilogy. I love the first two. The first two are fantastic, and I love the third one as well. But Christmas is definitely there in the first two for me. Again, it's not at the forefront of those movies. I think it's the best way to describe the Die Hard movies, particularly the first two, they are two of the best action movies made that happen to take place at Christmas. You can't outright say it is, and you can't outright say it isn't a Christmas movie. It's not that black and white for me. There's definitely pros and cons and arguments for and against as to why they are or are not Christmas movies. But yeah, I think the third one is definitely one that is not a Christmas movie. And yeah, I like to watch it at Christmas nonetheless because it gets me in the Die Hard vibe. And the third one is still a fantastic film. I think Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson have fantastic chemistry in this movie. I think this was the next movie they worked on after Pulp Fiction. Even though they don't really have scenes in that movie, it's still a fantastic film. But I think this gives you, the two actors bouncing off each other that you didn't get in Pulp Fiction. And it's a wonderful, wonderful film. And I really, really enjoy it. I think Jeremy Irons as well is a fantastic villain with a great motivation. And you can just really sort of get on board as to why he's doing it. But yeah, I have a fantastic time with Die Hard with a Vengeance. And it's just one of those movies I like to watch at Christmas that has fuck all to do with the season. So yeah, that is Die Hard with a Vengeance. So yeah, those are sort of 10 picks, guys, of non-Christmas movies that I really, really like to watch at Christmas. So yeah, have an absolute blast with those films. And yeah, they just sort of capture the Christmas season for me, even though they have nothing to do with it. So yeah, go leave the video there, guys, and say thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.